Hey, Brittany here again, and welcome to the 4th installment of our series going over everything you need to know to get started playing Warhammer 40k. We've already covered the forces of the Imperium and Chaos, and now it's time to take a wider look at the various inhabitants of the galaxy and focus our attention on the Xenos armies. The Aeldari were one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. They were powerful psychers and warriors without peer. However, their pride and fall to more hedonistic ways led to the creation of the Chaos god Slaanesh. Today, the Aeldari are mainly defined as 5 main subgroups: the Craft Worlds Aeldari, Drukari, Harlequins, Exodites, and the Inari. The Drukari are their own separate army now, so I'm going to cover them in a little bit in the next section. Because there are 4 main subgroups of Eldar, they can play very differently depending on what playstyle you prefer. From Harlequin assassins, Wraith Knight combat walkers, Melta-wielding fire dragons, to an emissary of a death god. The Eldar have one of the largest model ranges in 40k outside of Space Marines, and it gives players a chance to really experiment with the type of army they'd like to run. Their army rule allows them to create a resource known as battle focus tokens they can use to perform special actions called battle maneuvers. These are highly movement-based actions with some other utilities, such as preventing a unit from being the target of your opponent's fire overwatch. As with any army that focuses on movement, they reward those who like the challenge of mastering positioning to execute your game plan. Now, where some of the Aeldari may try to hold on to the honor and glory of their past empire, the Drukari make no such attempt. Also called the Dark Eldar, these sadistic Xenos have turned to piracy and mercenary work and will launch raids from their homeworld of Kamorga deep within the Webway. The Drukari are merciless hunters, sadistic jailers, and unrelenting in their cruelty. They consume the souls of their foes in the hopes of saving themselves from being consumed by Slaanesh in return. The Drukari are definitely a glass cannon army. They strike quickly and with precision, but are not designed to survive a sustained fight. Drukari, in my opinion, have some of the coolest vehicles in 40k, as their anti-grav skimmers such as Raiders and Ravagers are staples of their list building. The Drukari's army rule, Power from Pain, grants you a resource known as Pain tokens that you can earn throughout the game. You can then spend these tokens to provide a unit with buffs, such as rerolls on advances and charges, rerolls on your shooting attacks, or improved AP on your melee weapons. Like other glass cannon armies, Drukari are an army that rewards players who can utilize the terrain and the battlefield to their advantage, so you can maneuver their units where they like, avoid unnecessary danger, and then strike swiftly before your opponent has a chance to respond in turn. Lurking within the underbellies of Imperium worlds, the Genestealer Cults are a secretive sect of individuals who have started worshipping not the Emperor of Mankind, but a mysterious star god who will one day bring them salvation. Unbeknownst to them, the gods they are actually worshipping are the Tyranids, and the salvation brought to their world is the annihilation and consumption of it by the Great Devourer. The Genestealer Cults make the Tyranids' impending invasion that much easier, as their guerrilla warfare tactics and skills at sabotage can triple an Imperial world's defensive capabilities before the Tyranid Hive Fleet ever enters orbit. Genestealer Cults have a very fun playstyle that really encourages their guerrilla tactics. Their army rule, Cult Ambush, allows them to spend a special resource known as Resurgence Points to bring back destroyed units back at full strength. Their list building can vary, but they often run mixes of vehicles, battle line units, and a fair amount of characters. In my opinion, they also have one of the coolest flavored detachments in 40k called Final Day, where you can bring up to 1,000 points of Vanguard Invader Tyranids to fight alongside your cult members who finally get to meet their gods and bring ruin to their homeworld. The Leagues of Votann are 40k's equivalent of a dwarven army. Calling themselves the Kin, they are divided up into clans known as Kindreds that each serve and worship a self-aware artificial intelligence known as a Votann. Upon their deaths, their memories are uploaded into the Votann, ensuring their knowledge can be passed down to all their generations that come after them. They're skilled miners, mercenaries, and merchants who value the continued survival of their clan above all else. The Leagues of Votann are one of 40k's newer armies, as they were released a few years ago in 2022. They tend to run a fair amount of transports and vehicles, such as their Sagittars and the Hecaton Land Fortress. Their shooting is nothing to scoff at either, and don't let their height deceive you, as their berserkers will fight in melee with enough intensity to make a World Eater do a double take. Their army rule, Eye of the Ancestors, allows you to issue grudge tokens onto enemy units that have drawn the ire of the kin. These grudge tokens give you bonuses to hit and to wound into enemy units, allowing your forces to hit way harder than your opponent would ever expect them to. After 60 million years in stasis, The Necrons have started to awaken from their tombs, and with it, intend to reassert their rule over the galaxy. Now a race of fully robotic humanoids, the Necrons are untiring, unwavering, and have shards of captured star gods at their disposal. While much has changed since their initial slumber, the technological superiority of the Necrons isn't questioned, and each passing day only leads to more tomb worlds awakening and more warriors being added to their ranks. The Necrons are another army that possess a very wide model range, and as a result can lend themselves to different playstyles. However, some common elements in Necron lists include the use of Votann shards, characters, elite units such as Lich Guard, and devastating shooting from the likes of units such as Locust Heavy Destroyers. The army rule for the Necrons' reanimation protocols allows all of your units to either regain lost wounds or return slain models, ensuring that your opponent can never leave a wounded unit unattended, or else it'll rebuild itself back to full strength. Rampaging across the galaxy like a green tide, the Orks are always looking for a good scrap, and their warmongering ways means they are ready to pick a fight with anyone they come across. Viewed as barbaric by many, the Orks are not to be underestimated, as they possess a latent psychic ability that allows them to perform acts otherwise viewed as impossible. In the grim darkness of the far future, the Orks bring a surprising levity to the 41st millennium, and their model range leaves no shortage of room for kit bashers to create their own spin on things. The Orks have gone through a number of identities throughout 10th edition, from the Horde style of Green Tide, vehicle-skewed detachments such as Dread Mob and Cult of Speed, and the fortunately brief terror of the metagame that was Mordaka. Their army rule allows you to unleash an Ork warcry calling for a Wog that will give you a series of army-wide buffs that will last until the start of your next turn. While they are an army that can skew towards shooting or melee, their melee output is definitely consistent, while their shooting can be very swingy. Regardless of the type of list you choose, Orks encourage a fast and loose playstyle that embodies their desire for a good fight. Your units are not always here for a long time, but they are here for a good time, and they are always ready to go down swinging. Descending upon planets more like a swarm of locusts than a traditional army, the Tyranids are an endless swarm of very, very, very hungry bugs. Guided by a mysterious gestalt consciousness known as the Hive Mind, the goal of the Tyranids is simple: to consume everything, and to use that delicious biomass to create more of their kind. The Hive Mind is unafraid of evolving and adapting as they learn from every battle and develop new and more deadly Tyranids to ensure the continued spread across the galaxy where nothing is safe from becoming their next meal. If you truly want to play an army of big monsters, Tyranids are for you. On the tabletop, there are a variety of ways you can play Tyranids. You can lean into a true monster mash playstyle and bring nothing but big monsters. You can overwhelm your enemies with hundreds of smaller Hormagaunts and Termagants, run your opponents in circles with sneaky assassin units such as Lictors and the Death Leaper, or field a little bit of everything. Tyranids have two main army rules. The first is a simple mechanic called Synapse. Some of your Tyranids serve as psychic beacons for your army, channeling the will of the Hive Mind and giving you bonuses to battle shock tests and added strength to their melee attacks. Their second ability, Shadow in the Warp, lets you force a board-wide battle shock test against your opponent once per game. When used at the right moment, and with the luck of the dice gods on your side, it can rapidly turn the tide of a battle in your favor. Fighting to serve the greater good, the Tau are the closest thing the 40k universe has to a good aligned army. They will approach others with an open invitation to join their growing empire, preferring their allies join with open arms instead of force. However, should they decline, the Tau may choose to conquer the planet anyway if they feel that it serves the greater good. The Tau are one of the newer races on the block, having only been recorded by the Imperium about 6,000 years ago, but are rapidly growing and evolving and are a real threat to Imperial dominance in their area of the galaxy. When most people think of playing Tau, they usually think of the Tau battlesuits, and if you want a little bit of Gundam in your 40k, then the Tau are definitely the army for you. The Tau are notorious for being one of the most formidable gunline armies in 40k, as they can mow down advancing enemy armies, all while keeping themselves safe at a distance. This is all still very true, and Tau are not an army that wants to get tied up in melee. However, they are more than just battlesuits. You can also field some, or all, Kroot, an avian species that is a part of the Tau Empire that can overwhelm your foes with pure numbers and are not as afraid of getting in an opponent's face. But that wraps things up for this installment of our How to Play 40k guide. We have one final army review coming that's going to be going over all of the Loyalist Space Marine chapters. So let us know in the comments which armies you're the most interested in learning more about, and we might cover them later in a focused faction breakdown.